So what are the different routes that that an endpoint can be compromised? What are the, we've talked about different things, like not just what's exposed to the internet, what services are running, but also what are you running on the client side? What web browsers are you using, or what web browser are you using? How are you handling your email? Is there an email gateway that the emails go through? So what are the different routes that these endpoints can be compromised? I think something that we see a lot here as an MDR, and this is probably true for many MDRs as well. I know it's been true for every organization I've worked for that's had an EDR tool or has advertised itself as an MDR, is that we see a lot of systems that, like workstation systems, like right now Windows 10 Workstation, Windows 11, that for some reason have terminal services running. Is that intentional? Is that part of your assets? Is that one of the things you want to make available off of those systems? Now, that may not be an issue when that system, if it's a laptop, for example, like a mobile system, is sitting in the office and it's connected, and it's got like a non-routable non-public IP address. But what is the exposure of that system when the user takes it home, or the user goes out to, say, Starbucks, and sits there and connects to the Wi-Fi? How can these how is it? What are the different routes that these endpoints can be compromised? Not just the accessible services, but we also have, we've got the example of IIS, but we also see, for example, like when some applications like Veeam are installed. Okay, what is the underlying service there? What has to be installed for Veeam to be run? You've got MS SQL running as well. So we've now expanded our attack surface by having these applications installed. And I say that specifically. This is, I was telling Dre earlier, we looked at an endpoint where Veeam was running, and it's possible Veeam could have been compromised, but I think the report that was sent to the customer was, hey, your Veeam is up to date. Based on the version number, it's, and based on what we understand from the CVEs, your version of Veeam has been updated and it's not susceptible. But then if we go look at logs, we start to see where, oh, wait, I'm seeing brute forces against the SA account for MS SQL and other accounts that don't exist. So I'm seeing all these brute force queries coming in. It's a default installation of MS SQL, so it hasn't, we're not seeing successful logins, but we do see at one point that based on the default installation, the XP _command shell stored procedure has been accessed 4 times. And if we create a timeline and line those up with the EDR data that we've got, all of those accesses to that stored procedure are immediately followed by malicious processes. Legacy applications, this is a big one. And the image there is right from the header of the blog post that we published on this particular topic. What I mean by legacy applications is, being an MDR for and working with MSPs, one of the things that we see, and this is not unusual, this happens, is that when an organization, say a dentist office or a law office or just a small business, changes MSPs or actually decides that they need the benefits of an MSP, they bring with them all of the legacy applications that they had. So if they're bringing with them, say from a previous MSP, RMM tools that aren't being used by their current MSP, a lot of times those applications remain running. In this particular instance, we found back in May, we found several systems that had legacy TeamViewer, and it wasn't that TeamViewer was exploited in any way. It was somehow somebody got credentials for those TeamViewer instances, and we could see in the logs the point where logins actually occurred from source systems that did not appear to use the same naming convention, didn't appear to be from during the same time frame, time of day that the systems were normally accessed. They all seem to be they seem to be the result of legacy applications that were just left behind and left running that nobody was really cognizant of.